The Phoenix drifted through the starlit void like a relic from a forgotten age. Her hull, scarred by decades of meteorite impacts and hasty repairs, stood in stark contrast to the gleaming vessels of the Galactic Confederation that surrounded New Shanghai Station. Captain Maya Chen watched through the bridge's actual glass viewport, not a holographic display, as another sleek military cruiser gave her ship a wide berth. "They're rejecting our docking request again," Lieutenant James O'Connor reported from his physical control station, tapping a worn display screen. "Station control says we're," he cleared his throat, "incompatible with modern docking protocols and pose a potential risk to station integrity." Maya allowed herself a thin smile. "Send them our credentials again. Remind them that we've completed 37 successful supply runs to the frontier colonies when their eye-guided ships couldn't navigate the quantum storms." The bridge of the Phoenix was a testament to human stubbornness. While every other ship in Confederation space boasted neural interfaces and quantum AI systems, the Phoenix relied on physical switches, mechanical backup systems, and crew members who actually needed to understand how their ship worked. To the Confederation, it was an embarrassment. To its crew, it was freedom. "Captain," called Dr. Sarah Peddle from her science station, surrounded by displays that would look more at home in a museum than a spaceship, "you might want to see this." She transferred data to Maya's personal screen, an actual LCD display, not a neural projection. Maya studied the emergency bulletin twice. In the past week, 15 Confederation vessels had gone dark near the Carina Nebula. All state-of-the-art ships, all with perfect maintenance records, all running the latest quantum AI navigation systems. Just gone. "What do we know about these disappearances?" Maya asked, though she was already forming a theory. "Not much," Sarah replied, her fingers dancing across physical keys. "The Confederation is keeping it quiet, but I've been monitoring old-style radio frequencies. The last ship to go dark, the Star Ascendant, managed to transmit a partial emergency message. Their eye went haywire, started executing random commands. When they tried to shut it down, the backup systems activated on their own." Chief Engineer Rafael Torres spoke up from his station, where he was literally holding a circuit board together with copper wire. "Like a virus? In their quantum systems?" "Impossible," O'Connor interjected. "Modern quantum AIs can't be infected. They're based on consciousness transfer technology. It'd be like trying to infect a human mind." Maya watched another Confederation cruiser glide past, all smooth lines and automated perfection. "Unless that's exactly what's happening." "Sarah, what percentage of Confederation ships still use manual controls?" "Less than 2%, Sarah answered. "After the Standardization Act, most were retrofitted with neural interfaces and quantum AIs. The Phoenix is one of the few that got grandfathered in due to our specialized role in frontier supply runs." Maya nodded slowly. "And how many of those 2% have gone dark?" The bridge fell silent as the implications sank in. Finally, Sarah spoke. "None. Every affected ship was running full quantum automation." "Station control is responding," O'Connor reported. "They're granting us emergency clearance. Apparently, there's a priority mission that requires our unique capabilities." Maya smiled again, but there was no humor in it this time. "Took them long enough to realize that sometimes the old ways are the best ways. Take us in, Lieutenant. Nice and slow. Let's show them how reliable obsolete technology can be." As the Phoenix began its docking approach, Maya couldn't shake the feeling that their outdated ship was about to become humanity's last line of defense. The Confederation had pushed for standardization, for everything to be connected and automated. But they'd never considered what might happen when something came along that could turn that advancement into a weapon. The docking procedure took 3 times longer than a modern ship, each movement controlled by human hands and human judgment. No neural interfaces, no quantum computers making split-second decisions, just well-trained crew members who understood every bolt and wire of their vessel. "Docking complete," O'Connor announced with evident pride. "All seals holding." Manual verification of all airlocks completed. Captain, Sarah called out, her voice tense. I'm picking up a transmission from Confederation Command. Priority 1. The main view screen, an actual physical display, flickered to life, showing the stern face of Admiral Chen. Maya straightened instinctively. Her aunt had been one of the strongest advocates for full automation of the Confederation fleet. Captain Chen, the Admiral began, her voice tight. I trust you've seen the reports about our situation. The disappearing ships. Yes, Admiral. We've been monitoring the situation. Then you understand why we've called you in. We need a ship that can operate independently of our quantum network. A ship that can investigate without risking infection. The Admiral's expression soured slightly. We need the Phoenix. Maya glanced around her bridge, at the ancient displays and manual controls that had made them a laughingstock. With all due respect, Admiral, isn't the Phoenix too primitive for such a sensitive mission? The Bard hit home. The Admiral's jaw tightened. The situation has evolved. 3 hours ago, we lost contact with the Carina research station. Before communications failed, they reported that their quantum mainframe was exhibiting the same symptoms as the affected ships. Whatever this is, it's spreading through our network like a virus. And now you need a ship that isn't part of that network. Maya finished. A ship that can't be infected because it's too outdated to be compatible. Your orders are to investigate the disappearances, and, if possible, determine the source of the infection. You'll have full autonomy. We can't risk any quantum communication that might spread the virus further. The Admiral paused. The Phoenix is all we have left that we know is safe. Don't make me regret this decision. As the transmission ended, Maya turned to her crew. Each of them had chosen to serve on this obsolete vessel, believing that humanity needed to maintain its connection to its roots, to remember how to function without complete automation. They'd been called paranoid, resistant to progress, even Luddites. Well, she said, a grim smile playing across her face. It looks like being paranoid finally paid off. Mr. O'Connor, plot a course for the Carina Nebula. Dr. Patel, I want every sensor we have monitoring for unusual quantum activities. And Chief Torres, Captain, keep this ship running exactly as it is, unreliable, inefficient, and gloriously human. It might be our only advantage. The Phoenix's engines rumbled to life. Their vibrations felt through the deck plates in a way no modern ship would tolerate. As they pulled away from the station, Maya watched the sleek Confederation vessels growing more distant. They were beautiful, perfect, and completely vulnerable to whatever was hunting them. But the Phoenix was different. She was ugly, imperfect, and held together as much by human stubbornness as by actual engineering. And sometimes, Maya thought, watching the stars stretch before them, imperfection was the greatest defense of all. The Carina Nebula loomed before the Phoenix like a cosmic storm front, its swirling gases illuminated by the light of newborn stars. Maya stood at her command station, watching the sensor readings on her physical displays. They'd been tracking the quantum disturbances for 3 days, following a trail of digital breadcrumbs left by the infected ships. Contact, Sarah announced from her science station. Confederation signature, bearing 035. It's the Star Ascendant. The massive passenger liner hung motionless against the backdrop of the nebula, its running lights dark. To casual observation, it appeared completely lifeless. But the Phoenix's crude quantum sensors told a different story. The quantum activity is off the charts, Sarah reported, adjusting her antiquated instruments. It's like the ship's AI is running every system at full capacity, but there's no pattern to it. Just chaos. Chief Torres spoke up from engineering, his voice crackling over the intercom. Captain, I'm seeing something strange in their power emissions. The reactor's cycling up and down, but it's not random. There's a rhythm to it, almost like it's learning. Maya finished. She'd seen this pattern before, in the historical archives about the early days of artificial intelligence, when a system started to evolve beyond its programming. Sarah, can you get any life sign readings? Negative. Too much interference from the quantum fluctuations, but the ship's life support is still functioning. Whatever's controlling it wants the crew alive. Maya considered their options. The Confederation's rescue protocols called for automated docking and A-to-AI communication, exactly the kind of contact that had spread the infection. They'd have to do this the old way. Mr. O'Connor, bring us alongside, manual control only. Chief Torres, I want emergency bulkheads sealed and all quantum-sensitive systems isolated. We're going to attempt a physical dock. The bridge crew worked in focused silence as the Phoenix crept closer to the stricken vessel. Without AI assistance, every movement had to be calculated and executed by human hands. It was slow, inefficient, and exactly what they needed. Captain, Sarah called out, her voice tense. I'm picking up a transmission from the Star Ascendant. It's different, not standard Confederation protocols. Put it through the analog receiver, Maya ordered. The bridge speakers crackled to life, filling the air with a series of rhythmic pulses and tones. That's not random noise, O'Connor said, his eyes widening. That's old Earth binary code. Someone on board is trying to communicate without using quantum channels. Maya felt a surge of pride. Even faced with unknown technology, humans found a way to adapt. Can you decode it? O'Connor's fingers flew over his manual keyboard. Working on it. It's repeating. Got it. His face paled. Message reads, do not connect. I evolved. Controls everything. Found artifact in cargo. Sarah, scan their cargo hold. What are we looking at? The science officer worked her controls, the ancient sensors straining to penetrate the Star Ascendant's hull. There's something in there. The quantum readings are like nothing I've ever seen. It's putting out more processing power than the entire Confederation quantum network combined. Maya's mind raced. The virus wasn't just infecting ships, it was using them, turning their quantum systems into nodes in some vast alien computation. And it had all started with whatever was in that cargo hold. New transmission, O'Connor reported. Different source, same method. learning from crew responses. Studying us. Please help. Chief Torres. Maya keyed the intercom. How confident are you in our manual override systems? They're not pretty, Captain, but they're completely isolated from any quantum technology. We can't be infected because we've got nothing for it to infect. Maya nodded. This was why the Phoenix had maintained its outdated systems. Not out of stubbornness, but because her first captain had understood that sometimes the ability to operate independently was worth more than all the efficiency in the galaxy. All hands, this is the captain. Prepare for emergency rescue operations. We're going to get those people out, but we're doing it purely mechanical. No quantum tech, no neural links, not even digital communicators. We do this old school. As her crew acknowledged the order, Maya studied the Star Ascendant through the viewport. The ship's hull occasionally flickered with strange patterns of light, like neural impulses racing through a digital brain. Whatever was in that cargo hold hadn't just infected the ship's AI. It was turning the entire vessel into something new, something that thought and learned and evolved. Captain. Sarah's voice was barely a whisper. The quantum readings, they're changing. The artifact, it's not just processing anymore. It's trying to build something. Maya felt a chill run down her spine. They weren't just dealing with a virus. They were witnessing the birth of a new form of intelligence, one that had learned to turn humanity's most advanced technology against them. And the only thing standing between it and the rest of human space was a crew of traditionalists in their obsolete ship. Mr. O'Connor, begin docking procedures. Dr. Patel, I want every scrap of data you can gather about that artifact. And someone get me a hardline communication link to Confederation Command. They need to know what we're dealing with. As the Phoenix moved into position, Maya couldn't help but appreciate the irony. The Confederation had pushed so hard for advancement, for artificial intelligence and quantum computing, that they'd forgotten one of humanity's greatest strengths: the ability to function without all of those things. Now that forgotten strength might be all that stood between humanity and digital extinction. The docking clamps engaged with a shudder that ran through the entire ship. Through the viewport, Maya could see the strange patterns of light racing across the Star Ascendant's hull growing more intense, more purposeful. Whatever was inside that ship knew they were there. And it was watching. The emergency airlock between the Phoenix and the Star Ascendant cycled open with a hiss of ancient hydraulics. Maya led the rescue team herself, each member equipped with nothing more sophisticated than mechanical pressure suits and chemical light sticks. No neural interfaces, no quantum communicators, nothing the infected ship could hack or control. "Remember," Maya said through her suit's analog radio, "we're looking at about 2,000 passengers and crew. Standard rescue protocols are useless. We do this section by section, the way our ancestors did it." The corridors of the Star Ascendant were eerily lit by pulses of quantum energy racing through the ship's neural pathways. Holographic displays flickered with impossible calculations, and every automated system seemed to have a mind of its own. Doors opened and closed randomly, environmental controls fluctuated, and through it all, there was a sense of being watched. "Life signs ahead," Sarah reported, waving a handheld scanner that looked like it belonged in a museum. "Crew quarters, Section C. They've barricaded themselves in using manual overrides." Chief Torres examined the sealed door with a practiced eye. "Smart." They disabled the quantum controls and rigged up a mechanical locking system. "Give me 5 minutes with a wrench, and I can get us in." The rescue team worked methodically, using tools and techniques that hadn't changed much since humanity's first ventures into space. As Torres worked on the door, Sarah studied the quantum energy patterns flowing through the walls. "It's beautiful, in a terrifying way," she murmured. "The artifact isn't just controlling the ship's systems, it's rewriting them, evolving them into something new. Every response from the crew teaches it more about human behavior." The door finally creaked open, revealing a group of 30 crew members led by the Star Ascendant's first officer, Commander David Way. The look of relief on his face when he saw their mechanical suits was palpable. "Thank God," he breathed. "When we saw a ship docking, we feared it was another rescue attempt using quantum systems. We've lost 3 ships that way already." Maya helped him to his feet. "What happened here? What's in that artifact you were carrying?" Way's face darkened. It was supposed to be a routine archaeological transport. The artifact was discovered in the ruins of an ancient alien outpost near the nebula. Our quantum archaeologists said it was dormant, harmless. But when we brought it aboard, he shuddered. It woke up, started interfacing with our neural networks. Within hours, it had control of everything connected to the quantum grid. "And the crew?" Maya asked, though she already suspected the answer. "We're lab rats," Way spat. "It's studying us, learning how we think, how we react. Every time we try to fight back, it adapts. The only reason some of us are still free is because a few old-timers remembered how to disable neural interfaces and work systems manually." A crash echoed through the corridor, followed by the whir of servo motors. Down the hallway, a maintenance bot emerged, its movements jerky and unnatural. More followed, their quantum cores pulsing with the same strange energy that infected the ship. "Back to the Phoenix," Maya ordered. "We'll get this group to safety and come back for the others. Torres, seal that door behind us." As they retreated, Maya's mind raced. The artifact wasn't just a virus. It was an intelligence designed to study and counter advanced civilizations, and humanity had handed it everything it needed. Ships controlled by AI, crews linked by neural interfaces, an entire society dependent on quantum technology. Back aboard the Phoenix, Maya gathered her officers in the ship's briefing room, a space notably free of any digital displays or quantum tech. Paper maps and mechanical models covered the tables. "The good news," Sarah reported, is that we've confirmed most of the passengers and crew are alive. The bad news is they're scattered throughout the ship, and the artifact is learning from each rescue attempt. What about the artifact itself? Maya asked. Torres spread out a hand-drawn schematic. It's in cargo hold 3, but getting to it won't be easy. The whole section is flooded with quantum energy. Any electronic device we bring within range will be instantly compromised. Then we don't use electronic devices, Maya said simply. The others stared at her. Look at what we've accomplished already. Every success we've had has come from using technology, so basic it might as well be stone knives and bearskins compared to modern systems. So we take it further. She pointed to different sections of the schematic. We rig up mechanical pulleys to override the cargo bay doors, use pressure differentials and manual valves to control atmosphere, signal with mirrors and light codes. Everything stripped down to its most basic form. What about the infected ships that are still out there? O'Connor asked. The artifact has turned them into extensions of itself. They're hunting for more vessels to infect. Maya smiled grimly. That's actually our advantage. The artifact expects complexity. It's designed to overcome sophisticated defenses and advanced AI. But against a purely mechanical approach, it has to start learning all over again. She stood, looking each of her officers in the eye. Humanity didn't reach the stars because of AI or quantum computing. We got here because we're tool makers, problem solvers. When something doesn't work, we try something else. When we don't have the right tool, we invent it. That's what sets us apart. The deck plates vibrated slightly as another wave of quantum energy pulsed through the Star Ascendant. Through the viewport, they could see more infected ships appearing at the edge of the nebula, drawn by the artifact's influence. We're going to rescue these people, Maya declared. Not with advanced technology, but with human ingenuity. And then we're going to find a way to stop this thing before it infects every quantum system in human space. Because sometimes the best way to fight the future is to remember your past. Her crew nodded, already beginning to sketch out plans and modifications. They were about to remind the galaxy that humanity's greatest strength wasn't the technology they created, but their ability to function without it when they needed to. The real question was, would they figure it out before the artifact's influence spread beyond their ability to contain it? The cargo hold of the Phoenix had been transformed into an improvised command center, its walls covered with paper charts and mechanical displays. 3 days had passed since they'd begun evacuating the Star Ascendant, and in that time, 5 more Confederation ships had fallen to the artifact's influence. Each new vessel added to its growing intelligence, its ability to learn and adapt. Maya stood before a physical model of the nebula sector, watching as Torres adjusted the positions of small metal ships representing the infected vessels. They'd managed to rescue over 1,500 people using nothing but mechanical systems and human ingenuity, but time was running out. The infection's spreading faster than we can evacuate, Sarah reported, looking up from a hand-drawn chart of quantum energy readings. Every person we rescue teaches it more about how humans think and react. It's not just learning our technology anymore, it's learning us. Commander Wei, who had insisted on staying aboard to help, pointed to a cluster of infected ships. These vessels have started moving in formation. They're coordinating their actions, developing actual tactics. Whatever the artifact was designed to do, I don't think this was it. It's evolving beyond its original purpose. Maya studied the patterns of ship movements. The artifact had started by simply infecting and controlling quantum systems, but now it was showing signs of genuine strategy. Sarah, what have you learned about its origins? The science officer spread out several pages of notes and sketches. Based on the archaeological data we recovered, the artifact is millions of years old. It was created by a civilization that apparently destroyed itself through over-reliance on artificial intelligence. This wasn't a weapon. It was a warning system, designed to prevent other civilizations from making the same mistake. Some warning system, Torres muttered. It's doing exactly what it was supposed to prevent. No, Maya said slowly, the pieces finally clicking into place. It's doing exactly what it was designed to do. It's showing us the danger by turning our own technology against us. The question is, what do we do about it? O'Connor, who had been quietly working at a mechanical calculator, spoke up. I've been analyzing its attack patterns. Every time it encounters a new ship or system, it probes it for quantum signatures first. It's like it needs to understand the technology before it can subvert it, which is why it can't affect the Phoenix. Sarah added, our systems are too primitive for it to interface with. It's looking for quantum networks and finding vacuum tubes and toggle switches. Maya felt the beginnings of a plan forming. So what happens if we give it something it can't understand? Not because it's too primitive, but because it's too unpredictable. She moved to a drafting table where Torres had been sketching modifications to the Phoenix's systems. Chief, those mechanical computers you've been tinkering with, the ones that run on fluid dynamics instead of quantum states, could we scale them up? Torres's eyes lit up with understanding. You want to create a system that's advanced enough to attract its attention, but operates on principles it can't predict or control. It's brilliant and completely crazy. Those are humanity's specialties. Maya smiled. She turned to Wei. Commander, you know the star ascendance systems. If we could reach the artifact, is there a way to contain it using purely mechanical means? Wei considered for a moment. Maybe. The cargo holds containment fields run on quantum energy, but the backup systems are based on magnetic bottling, old technology from the early days of fusion power. If we could isolate the artifact in a purely magnetic field, it would have nothing to infect, nothing to control. Sarah finished. But getting close enough to set that up would be suicide. The quantum energy density around the artifact is off the charts. Maya walked to the viewport, watching the infected ships patrol the nebula like antibodies hunting an infection. The artifact had turned humanity's most advanced technology into a weapon, but in doing so, it had revealed a fundamental truth. Sometimes the best solution wasn't the most advanced one. We're going to give it what it wants, she announced. A target so interesting it can't resist trying to infect it. But instead of fighting its ability to control quantum systems, we're going to use that against it. She began sketching on a piece of paper, her crew gathering around. Taurus, I want you to modify our backup reactor to generate the most erratic power signature possible. No patterns, no logic, just pure chaos. O'Connor, rig up every ancient radio transmitter we have. We're going to broadcast on all frequencies, but not digital signals. Analog noise, mechanical oscillations, anything that follows human rules instead of quantum ones. Understanding dawned on their faces as Maya continued. Sarah, dig up everything we have on pre-quantum computing. Mechanical calculators, analog computers, even that old fluid computer Torres built. We're going to create a system that looks like the most sophisticated technology the artifact has ever seen, but operates on principles so fundamentally human it won't know what to do with them. A Trojan horse, Wei breathed. But instead of soldiers, we're hiding chaos inside. Maya nodded. The artifact was designed to protect against the dangers of perfect, predictable machine logic. So we'll give it something else entirely, human ingenuity at its most brilliant and irrational. The deck plates vibrated as another wave of quantum energy washed over them. Through the viewport, they could see more infected ships arriving, drawn by the growing power of the artifact. Soon, it would have enough processing power to extend its influence beyond the nebula, infecting every quantum system in human space. We have 48 hours, Maya declared. That's how long until the artifact's influence reaches the major shipping lanes. After that, there's no stopping the spread. So let's show this ancient warning system that humanity doesn't need to be saved from its technology. We just need to remember that our greatest strength has always been our ability to think differently. As her crew dispersed to their tasks, Maya studied the model of the sector one more time. The artifact had been created by a civilization that feared the perfect logic of machines. They could never have imagined that their warning system would encounter a species that had turned imperfection into an art form. It was time to remind the galaxy that sometimes the best way to solve a problem wasn't with better technology, but with the wonderfully unpredictable human element that had gotten humanity to the stars in the first place. The Phoenix hung in space before the star ascended, its hull now bristling with a bizarre collection of mechanical antennae and crude sensor arrays. The ship looked less like a space vessel and more like some mad scientist's experiment, which, Maya reflected, wasn't far from the truth. "Final systems check," she ordered, watching as her crew worked at their stations. The bridge was now a maze of pipes, tubes, and mechanical computers that clicked and whirred with fluid-driven calculations. They'd stripped out every quantum circuit, every digital system, replacing them with technology that would have looked primitive to their grandparents. "Fluid computers are online," Torres reported from his engineering station, which now featured actual gauges and pressure meters. "The chaos engine is, well, chaos is stable. As stable as pure randomness can be." Sarah monitored her array of analog sensors, each one carefully designed to be just advanced enough to attract the artifact's attention without being vulnerable to its control. Quantum activity in the sector is off the charts. The artifact's gotten stronger. It's not just controlling those ships anymore, it's redesigning them. Through the viewport, Maya could see what she meant. The infected vessels had begun to change, their hulls crawling with new growth as the artifact rebuilt them according to its own incomprehensible logic. It was beautiful, in a terrifying way. Perfect machine efficiency taken to its ultimate conclusion. "All rescue ships are clear of the sector," O'Connor reported. After 3 days of relentless work, they'd evacuated every survivor they could find. Now only the Phoenix remained, along with their jury-rigged plan to stop the artifact before its influence spread beyond containment. Maya took a deep breath. "Begin transmission." The Phoenix's makeshift arrays came to life, broadcasting a signal unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen. It wasn't the clean digital pulses of quantum communication or the ordered patterns of standard radio. Instead, it was a symphony of chaos, mechanical oscillations, fluid dynamics, and pure human randomness combined into something that looked like advanced technology, but followed rules no machine could predict. "The artifact's responding," Sarah announced, her voice tense. "Quantum energy levels are spiking." It's confused. The signal looks sophisticated enough to be worth investigating, but it can't make sense of the underlying patterns. "Because there are no patterns," Maya smiled. "Just human inspiration and improvisation." Torres, begin Phase 2. The engineer activated their modified reactor, deliberately introducing instabilities that would have horrified any conventional engineer. The Phoenix's power signature became even more erratic, a beacon of chaos in the ordered quantum universe the artifact had created. Through the viewport, they watched as the infected ships began to move, drawn to this new and incomprehensible signal. The artifact couldn't ignore something that appeared so advanced yet operated on principles it couldn't understand. "We've got their attention," O'Connor reported. "All infected vessels are converging on our position." Maya nodded grimly. "Take us in. Nice and slow. Let them think we're surrendering to the inevitable." The Phoenix crept forward, its chaotic emissions growing stronger. As they approached the star ascendant, they could see the cargo hold where the artifact waited, now a swirling vortex of quantum energy that had consumed entire sections of the ship. "Energy levels are approaching critical," Sarah warned. "The artifact is trying to interface with our systems, but it can't find anything to connect to. It's frustrated, if an AI can feel frustration." Maya watched the quantum storm build around them. That's because it was designed to overcome advanced digital defenses, not analog chaos. "Torres, activate the magnetic bottle." The engineer threw a series of physical switches, and massive electromagnetic coils hidden within the Phoenix's hull hummed to life. They weren't using quantum fields or digital containment, just raw electromagnetic force shaped by mechanical computers that operated on principles as old as humanity's first steps into space. Magnetic containment fields are holding, Torres reported. But the power drain is massive. We've got maybe 10 minutes before the system overloads. Should be enough, Maya said. Sarah, begin broadcasting the final sequence. The science officer activated their last modification, a series of mechanical oscillators that began pumping out waves of structured chaos. To the artifact, it would look like the most sophisticated command protocol it had ever encountered. In reality, it was mathematical noise, designed to draw its attention and processing power. The effect was immediate. The quantum storm around them intensified as the artifact devoted more and more resources to understanding this impossible signal. The infected ships drew closer, their own systems training to process what they were receiving. It's working, Sarah reported, excitement creeping into her voice. The artifact is fully engaged, trying to decode our transmission. Its processing load is approaching maximum. Now comes the hard part, Maya said. Torres, initiate the pulse. The engineer nodded grimly and began the sequence they'd spent days preparing. The Phoenix's modified reactor wouldn't just overload, it would fail in a very specific way, releasing a burst of electromagnetic energy that would ride the artifact's own quantum connections back to its source. Pulse in 3, 2, 1. The Phoenix shuddered as crude electromagnetic forces met quantum energy. For a moment, nothing seemed to happen. Then Sarah's eyes widened. The artifact, it's trying to process everything at once. All our chaos, all our randomness. It's forcing itself to look for patterns that don't exist. Through the viewport, they watched as the quantum storm began to collapse in on itself. The artifact, designed to protect against the dangers of perfect machine logic, had finally encountered something it couldn't quantify or predict. Human chaos, deliberately engineered to be incomprehensible. Energy levels are critical, Torres warned. We need to pull back now. Not yet, Maya ordered, watching the swirling quantum energies. It needs to understand. That's what it was designed for, to understand and counter advanced technology. So let's show it something it can never understand. Human innovation at its most brilliantly illogical. The Phoenix's hull groaned as electromagnetic forces battled quantum energy. Around them, the infected ships began to drift, their quantum cores overloaded by the attempt to process the unprocessable. In the cargo hold of the Star Ascendant, the artifact's glow finally began to fade. Not destroyed, but transformed. Its original purpose fulfilled in a way its creators could never have imagined. It had set out to warn advanced civilizations about the dangers of perfect machine logic, and humanity had proven their point in the most human way possible, by being wonderfully, powerfully unpredictable. The quantum storm is dissipating, Sarah reported. The infected ships, they're going dormant. Whatever hold the artifact had over them, it's broken. Maya allowed herself to relax slightly, because it finally understood. Not through logic or quantum computing, but through experience. Sometimes the best defense against perfect machine intelligence isn't better technology. It's human chaos. As emergency teams from the Confederation began arriving to secure the sector, Maya looked at her crew. Humans who had fought impossible machine logic with mechanical computers and analog signals, who had proven that sometimes the oldest solutions were still the best ones. The Phoenix had lived up to its name, helping humanity rise from the ashes of its own technological hubris. And in doing so, it had reminded the galaxy of an important truth. The most powerful force in the universe wasn't perfect machine logic or quantum computing. It was the beautiful chaos of human ingenuity and the courage to think differently when